Hello, welcome to Craw Security. I'm Satish Kumar Sharma. In this session, we will discuss about the IP address. So, first we will discuss about the IP version 4. Then, second session I will discuss about the IP version 6. So, what is IP version 4 and what is IP version 6? In this, we discuss all the concept related to the IP address, like what is IP address, what is network address, what is broadcast address, what is host address, how many classes of the IP address. In this, we discuss all these things. So, what is IP? So, IP stand for Internet Protocol. IP means Internet Protocol. So, what is IP address? IP address just a unique number that is used to require to identify the systems or device, computers, nodes, PCs. It can also be called terminals in the network. So every particular device required a IP version 4 address or IP version 6 address. It means it's a unique IP address. So there are two types of IP address. The first one is IP version 4. The second one is IP version 6. So what is about the IP version 6 address and what is about the IP version 4 address? So in this, we discuss only about the IP version 4. It's a 32-bit address and it has 4 octet and each has 8-bit. That is separated by dot and it is written in decimal format. Like this has 4 octet, this one, and this one. Each has 8-bit. This is also 8-bit. This is also 8-bit. This is also 8-bit. And this is also 8-bit. So it's a 32-bit address that is separated by dot, again dot, again dot. And it always written in decimal formats like that is 1.0.0.1. So this is my decimal number, this one. So written in decimal formats like this is also a decimal formats. So IP has two parts. The first is network part and the host part. But it depends on the class. If we have a class, the network address, it has different. If we have a B class, so it depends on the class, how many bits reserved for the network and how many bits reserved for the host. So there are two parts in an IP address. The first one is network part, the second one is host part. Suppose this is my C class IP. So it has 24-bit in a network portion and it has a 8-bit in a host portion. So will become a 32-bit address. So it is a 32-bit address. So every IP that I want to assign in on any machine, it can be max to max 32-bit. So this is predefined. It's a 32-bit address. Suppose if in host portion all the bits are 0, will become a network address. What is network address? Network address, that is the first address of the network of that particular subnets. And what is host address? And that will become, this is a broadcast address. All the address, if in the host portion all the bits are 1, that will become a host address. That will become a broadcast address, not a host address. And between network address and broadcast address will become a host address. So for any device, a unique IP is required. Only the valid address can be assigned on a device, that is known as host address. So to assign a valid address, that is a host address. So host address can only be assigned on the device. So we can only assign the host address. So INA, what is INA? INA is a organization which assign the IP address, which divide the IP version 4 into the classes. So how many classes of the IP address? So there are 5 classes of the IP address that can be assigned on any device. The first is class A, class B, class C, class D, and E. So there are 5 classes of IP address that start from 02 and 255. This one. So these are predefined. There are 8-bit in a network portion and there are 24-bit in a host portion. So this is class and this is the range. And this is the network bit, and these are the host bit. These are the number of PCs that I want to assign, and these are the reserved addresses. These are the reserved addresses that can be used. Class, this is my class, this is my range, this is the network bit, this is the host bit. These are the number of PCs and these are the reserved. Suppose if we want to assign a IP address on any device, so from 0 to 127, this is a class, and there are 8-bit for the network and 24-bit for the host. And these are the PCs that can be connected total. -2. And also -2. That is also -2. So class B, we can assign from 128 to 191, and this is from 192 to 223. This has 16-bit for the network portion. This has 16-bit for the host portion. This has 24-bit for the network portion, 8-bit for the host. So how many systems we can connect? These -2, these in a B class, these are in a. So these are the reserved addresses. The first one is network address. The last one is broadcast address. This is the broadcast address. Network address and broadcast address are the reserved. So these are the reserved addresses. How we can identify this? I will show this. This is the last one, that is class D, and that is reserved for the multicasting. And this is E class, that is reserved for the experimental use. So see, what is the impact of this one? I will show these all things. So one example, I will show this by using one example. See here. Suppose if I want to assign the IP address from the range, so these, I will prove this. If I use this from 0, so this will show me one error. 0 is not valid entry because we cannot assign this. So IP address can be assigned from 1 to 2 to 3. So only 3 classes we can use from 0, from 1 to 2 to 3. So only the valid address can be assigned. That is 1 to 126. That can be assigned. From 1 to 126, we can assign these addresses. See, when we use here 0.0.0, this cannot be used because this is a network address. This is a reserved address. This is a reserved address. So this is my network address. We cannot assign this because in this all the bits are 0. That I have told you. What is about the network address? In host portion, when all the bits are 0, will become the network address. So when we use here 0, see, read this one. The combination of the IP addresses and the subnet mask is invalid. All of the bits in the host address portion, it means host portion of the IP addresses of the IP address are set to 0. If I set all the bits as a 0, so it cannot be used because this is predefined. So this is called a network address. So we cannot assign this. If I use here 1, then we can use this. Then see, we can also use how many addresses? These are the range that can be used. So we use 255 also. So it can also be used. If I use this octet is full, then here this will become 1 and here this will become 0. See, you can also use this one also. If I use here 255 again, it can also be used. So when we here use 255, these can also be used. These 255, these 255 also be used. See, then these 2 octet will complete, then here 1, then again 0, then again 0. It can also be used. See, 0. It can also be used. This is also valid address and will come 255 again. Here it goes to 255 again 255. Then see, if I use 255 all the bits as a 1, then it will become when all the bits are 0, that will become network address. When all the bits are 1, that will become as a broadcast address. So this will be a broadcast address. This cannot be used. All the bits are 1. So this cannot be used. So this is the concept. The first address is the network address. The last address is the broadcast address. Between these, we use the addresses. That is known as host address. Only the host address can be assigned on any machine. So this is used. If I use here the last one, that is, this is the last address. So it will use. So this is the procedure that can be used. If I use here class B address, then see the things. C class is started from 128.0.0.0. So this is the first address for B class. See here. So there are 16-bit for the network and there are 16-bit for the host. Then when I do OK, then this will show me an error. All the bits set to 0. So this is a network address. When I start this one, it will be used and goes to 255. Again, we can use this. When I use here 255 again, that will become a broadcast address. So network address and broadcast address cannot be used in any class. It can be A class, it can be B class, any class. C, not. If I use here 4, that will use because this is the last address of this particular subnet. So this is about the B class. When I use here C class, C 2.168.223.0.0.0. So this is the network address. See, how many bits for the network? 24 bits for the network. These are the network bit. And how many bits for the host? So this is the host bit. Only we can use this particular portion for the host, not this one, not this one. So we cannot use these 3 portions. These are reserved for the network. If I use here 0, that will become a network address. So network address cannot be used, this one. If we use the last address, that is 255, this is the last address. This can not use because this is the last address. So we use between network and broadcast. So that is 1. Start from 1. This is the first address, valid address. And what is the last valid address? That is 254. So this is the last valid address that can be used. 223, 254. that is already assigned to any other adapter. So if I want to use this, so reduce one only, so this can be used. So this is the thing that is used. So what I have discussed? So what is IP address, and what is IP version 4? What is IP? Only just IP. What is IP version 4 address, network address, broadcast address, host address, and how many classes? So IP, that is stand for IP Internet Protocol. It's a unique address that can be used to identify any machine in the network. So it can be IP version 4, it can be IP version 6. So IP version 4, it's a 32-bit address. It has 4 octet. Each has 8 bits separated by dot in decimal format. It has 2 parts. The first one is network part, the second one is the host part. If in a host part all the bits 0 will become a network address, the host part all bits will become ones, then that will become a broadcast address. If we want to assign an IP on any device, that will be a unique. So unique IP address is required for any host, any device. So that is known as host address. So only we can assign the host address on any device. So INA divides all the numbers that is from 0 to 255 in 5 classes. So the first one is second A class, B class, C class, D class, and E class. E class for experimental, D class for multicast. In this, if you want to create a small network, then we can use C class. Then again, big network, we can use B class. This is the biggest. In this, how many PCs, how many number of devices we can connect. So these are the classes. And these 2 addresses are reserved. That this is reserved for the default route and this is reserved for the loopback address. So this whole thing about the IP address. Thank you. And in the next session, I will discuss about the practical portion. Thank you.